And for more on this, we're being joined now by former US Diplomat Jim Jatras. Jim, always good to have you here.
Likewise.
I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with all these questions, but I'm going to ask you. President Trump, not a surprise, he had strong words for the 28 other NATO allies in a closed-door meeting. Press was not allowed, but he allegedly went on this tirade, as you heard Charlotte say there. He mostly singled out Germany, other allies as well, like France, for falling short of their 2% GDP commitment, push for the commitment to be increased to 4%. Okay, we know there's only 8 NATO countries that are living up to that 2% commitment. Why ask for 4? They're not paying 2.
Sure, 4, make it 6, make it 8. It doesn't matter. They're not going to pay it. Look, the country that consistently spends the greatest share of GDP after the United States is flat broke Greece. Is that because they're scared of the Russians? No, because they're scared of their NATO ally, the Turks. If these countries actually thought there was a Russian threat, they wouldn't need jawboning from the United States to make them do it. They're not going to spend it because they know it's wasted money. And if Uncle Sap is happy enough to do it, they'll let them do it. Let us do it anyway. And I think he's simply exposing that. When we met before, we talked about, Trump likes to set people's hair on fire like he did in Toronto at the
Yes.
G7. Would he do that again now in Brussels? And this is a man who does not disappoint.
Well, okay, the members, many of whom, they've slowly been increasing their give since President Trump got into office, and as he stumped and gave them an ultimatum and threatened, perhaps the U.S. would pull out. Since Trump took office, they slowly have increased. They have till 2024 because of the agreement President Obama made in 2014 to hit that 2% mark. I mean, what about that? Should we give them time?
It's smoke and mirrors. Look, they're playing games here with their accounting. Oh, we're really adding this now. How do we account for our defense budget? Look, Germany has 4 operational combat aircraft. The whole German Air Force. It's not 4. Not 400, not 40, 4. Now, the point is that they're not going to spend the money if they don't feel that there's a need. We can threaten all we want. They're not going to do it. They'll play some games with the books, make it look like they're doing, 2024, let's make it 2028. Well, we got to 1.6. That's kind of close to 2. That's the kind of thing we're going to see from them.
So we're probably going to keep seeing them push, move the goal line.
They're going to log roll. It's this is all smoke and mirrors.
Now, what about all the other talk at NATO? About the EU. President Trump accusing the EU, mostly Germany, singling out Germany of being cowed by Russia due to the natural gas pipeline deal. Is that a fair characterization to say that they're basically hostage?
No, of course not. And as Chancellor Merkel pointed out, they've been very strong in their response to Russian aggression in Ukraine and Crimea and all that sort of thing. So they're not in any meaningful sense a puppet of Russia. If anything, they're a puppet of the United States, despite their having very close economic ties with Russia, which are as natural to them as ours are with, say, Canada and Mexico. They're not politically controlled by Moscow at all. I think what Mr. Trump was exposing was the fact that they don't have a threat from Russia. They have a natural complementarity of economic interest with Russia.
It makes sense to make that deal.
It makes sense to make that deal, but I think he was like poking them, teasing them with it. The real question will be, the State Department announced today they want to put more sanctions on European companies helping to build the Nord Stream pipeline. This is where I think we get, again, the disconnect between what it appears Trump wants to do and what the mechanism of government here that he really doesn't control wants to do.
He dragged in Vladimir Putin, he dragged in Russia, saying, you're held hostage by them. This is just days ahead of his very first official summit with Vladimir Putin. I mean,
exactly, and I think that's part of the reason too, is that he's showing in Brussels how tough I'm going to look. How much outrage we've had here in this town. Oh, Trump's going to meet with his boss Putin. He's going to sell out American interests, and so he can go in there. So what do you mean? I just called him all sorts of names in Brussels. Grr, I'm really, really tough. I think that's part of what he's doing.
Well, what do you think the NATO allies are saying about this meeting? Do you think they're talking about that behind closed doors?
I think there's a lot of panic in NATO headquarters, just like there is among the establishment here in Washington. I think Mr. Trump has made it clear he really doesn't care at all about NATO, that it's not useful to American interests, is not useful to his America First, putting America First policy. They are a bunch of freeloaders. and we don't need them. And I think he is, in as many ways rhetorically, just sticking it right in their face.
Jim Jatras with strong words of his own for NATO. All right, we will check this out in about a week. We'll have you back on
and see whose hair's on fire then.
You've been like Nostradamus, you know. We'll have you right back on. As always, love having you here. Thank you, Jim Jatras.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.